I've got a secret. And I wonder if Miss Victoria knows anything about this. Did you know that the Bible speaks of making undergarments? It's true. And it's found in the book of Exodus, chapter 28, verses 42 and 43. I'd like to share it with you. This is what it says. Make linen undergarments as a covering for the body, reaching from the waist to the thigh. Aaron and his sons must wear them whenever they enter the tent of meeting or approach the altar to minister in the holy place, so that they will not incur guilt or die. Wow, now that's pretty drastic for not wearing some drawers to church, okay? In all seriousness, though, I am all about keeping scripture in context, but when I read that, what that said to me was, I should not be rolling up in a church with no drawers on, okay? And that those little lace things, those little thongs, don't qualify because they do not cover from the waist to the thigh. To each his own, no judgment here. I'm just saying what that said to me, okay? I know y'all probably think it's crazy, but I did find that very inspiring because I was in my closet cleaning it out, getting ready for spring, out with the old. I had several lace blouses and t-shirts that I knew I wasn't going to use anymore. And it was just very hard for me to part with the blouses because the lace is so pretty. And I kept thinking, what can I do with these blouses? It's not enough material here to make something big. So why not make something small? I mean, this turned out to be the perfect upcycle for my blouses, ladies. We can do this for pennies on the dollar, right? We know that lingerie is extremely expensive, right? It costs a grip, especially if we go to the secret. But we can do this for pennies on the dollar using things that we already have from our closets. If I can do this, you can do this. I hope you'll join me on this upcycle. I'm really excited about the way they turned out. This was my first time making my own panties. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to make lace brief panties. No muffin top. It's all good. Everything will be swooped in and tucked in. You're going to love it. So without further ado, I hope you'll join me. Hey, if you like the content, don't forget to comment, subscribe. Go ahead and hit that button because it don't cost you nothing, boo, to hit that button. We're going to do all kind of wonderful upcycles, sewing projects, design projects on this channel. Then we're going to go out into the garden in the springtime. We're going to plant and we're going to put it all together because believe it or not, food and fashion do go hand in hand. I hope you'll join me. Let's get into the video. Okay, so I have just finished zigzag stitching the two side fronts of my pretty panties together. And I'm giving you a close-up here. And as you can see, you really can't even see the zigzag stitching. You can't really tell that there's even a seam. I'm sorry, I'm going too fast. There is a seam there. So really, I don't need to decorate the front, but I'm going to anyway. So this would be the side that would be against the body. Maybe it's a little bit more evident on this side. Maybe not. But you're not going to have to worry about any level of uncomfortability here. So I just wanted to say that because I personally was a little worried at first when I realized I didn't have enough to cut this on the fold. But after I went and actually looked at some store-bought panties, I realized several of them, especially those that have lace, actually have a center front and a center back seam along with side seams, and those are serged together. So this is going to work out really nice. Let's carry on. So I'd like to try and give you all a close-up of this zigzag stitch. The reason why I wanted to do that is to show you that I'm not using a regular zigzag where the needle goes, bites on this side, this side, this side, this side, and comes down. I'm sure that stitch would work perfectly well for this, but there's a function on this machine. If you look at that number 4, that allows you to do a perforated zigzag. That's the name that I use for it. I'm sure there's another name that's more proper that goes with sewing terminology, but I don't know what that is. I just want to say that stitch is really working well for this project and ensuring that this lace, the stretch lace that I'm top stitching onto this lace, it doesn't have quite as much stretch. It stretches, but not quite as much as this one. It's allowing it to lay nice and flat. Now, I initially did a single straight stitch and it puckered, even though the stitching was wide, like I was going to do a basting stitch and not narrow. It still puckered slightly, but I didn't want any puckering in my panties. So I'm so glad that I took it out and this stitch is working much better. Okay, there it is, nice and flat. Now it's time to stitch fronts and backs together at the crotch. And let's see, there's a way I can do this, I think, where the crotch is nestled in there. Let me, give me a minute to figure this out. Okay, so let me take this piece off, put this piece down, and first of all, yes, this. Oh my gosh, you guys, my cutting mat has several nicks in it. And it is trying to snag my lace panties. What? Every time I pick it up, I notice look, these little cuts are catching my little delicate lace fabric. I don't like that. So I probably should turn my mat over on the other side or use a different mat. But you know me. Ain't nobody got time for that. I should not say that. Let me stop saying that. Here's why. Sewing is really not something that can be done on the fly. If you really want to do it right, you have to take time. All good things take time. And sewing is definitely no exception. Now, oh, I could reach in there and stitch that. Wait a minute, am I looking at these right? I get confused right and wrong sides sometimes. Fabric looks the same on both sides. I know I'm rambling right now. I'm just working out the process. I'm actually saying out loud right now what I would normally be saying in my head. But I do enjoy the process immensely. The journey of creating things it's part of it for me. It really is. Ooh, child, look at here. Now that is starting to look like a pair of panties. Yes, I know they look a little big right now, but when they're done, they'll be, like I said, these are looking like some bloomers right here, but hey, they some pretty bloomers. We gonna make sure they fit because you can always cut them down if they too little. I ain't trying to get no lace wedges. They call that a thong. I call it a lace wedgie, but you know, to each his own. Okay, let me quit. Okay. Okay, yeah, so after the crotch is sewn, that will be a good time to try them on before sewing the side seams to see how they fit, to see where you may want to make some adjustments in terms of maybe trimming those down a little bit. This part, the part you put your leg in, it's going to be drawn up a little bit after you put your lace on, and you'll see. So anyway, let's serge up that. Okay, so this is my first time making my own panties. I have made a swimsuit years ago using the same pattern when I was much smaller. And I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, wow, this is looking more like judging by the size, a swimsuit that I would purchase versus a pair of panties. Panties seem to be much smaller, but sometimes we have to just work through the process, enjoy the journey, trust the process, trust yourself, and don't be afraid to experiment. And sometimes you'll be surprised at the end result if you just keep the faith and keep on moving. So now it is time to apply the lace border around the legs, front and back, and the waist. I have tried these on, and yeah, the size seems almost perfect. So I think they're going to look smaller because when we apply this, we're going to give this a nudge. We're going to pull, and it's going to draw them together, okay? The other thing I want to say is that this lace is not giving me full stretch that the lace that's typically made from panties would do. So they have to be a little bit bigger for that reason as well. So I'm going to get a pair of panties that fit well in around the leg, and I'm going to measure the elastic, and I'm going to cut that plus 1 inch for each leg to use as my guide. I'm going to do the same thing with the waistband by getting a pair of panties that fit the way I like, that I already have, measuring the waistband in those panties as far as how much is this to cut for my waistband. And this has perfect amount of stretch. I picked this up at Hobby Lobby here. I think they were just having a sale, and I was in there one day, and I don't even know why I bought it years ago. As you can see, it says $3.99. I don't know if you can really see that price. I don't know if I'm in focus or not. Honestly, I apologize if I'm not. But anyway, it was 50% off, so I purchased this for what, $2, and it has a little over a yard. Oh no, 3 yards. It's 2 1/4 inches wide, and it's 3 yards of it. And I'm going to use it like fold over. For those of you who are familiar with that term, fold over, I'm going to apply it like this. And I'm going to top stitch here, but I'm going to be pulling gently as I do that. Okay? Let's go back to the machine. Okay, the elastic has been added to the leg opening, and now it's time to put on the waistband and we'll be finished. So what I didn't show you is that I actually serged the waistband closed first, and then I fold it in half lengthwise. Then I determine where I'm going to put the seam, and I think I'm going to put the seam on the center back for these. Let me clip that little thread. I hate hanging threads. It's just a pet peeve I have. I always clip my threads because they do show up in the end, and sometimes they get in the way if you don't clip them. Along the way. Oh, sorry. Okay. Center back. So this is exactly what I did around the arm. I mean, the leg opening. Find my point. I place the panty in between the fold over and then fold it over. Hence the name fold over. I got a little dry throat. I need some water. Pin that. And then I find my halfway point. So, first I need to bring these through like this. Otherwise, it gets all bunched up and crazy and you don't know what you're doing. Okay, so now, this is the center back. I find the center front by folding it over as it's going to lay on the panty. And I say, okay, this is about halfway, my halfway mark of what I have to work with. Because remember, again, this is shorter and I have to stretch this around. So then I find my center front. I pin this on right. I have to flip it back. Yep. It's a lot of flipping and flopping. Okay. Now I pin it on the center front. I open it up. I sandwich my panty in between the waistband and I fold it over. Hence the name fold over. I like saying that. Okay. So then I'm just gonna kind of lay them out and stretch them at the waist to see how much I need to tug as I am sewing them on. So again, I'm going to find my, you can either say your quarter marks or your 1/4 marks, or your halfway points going in the opposite direction. I hope this is making sense. I'm slowing this part down because this can be frustrating trying to figure this out if you do it this way. If you've never done this before, it can be very frustrating trying to figure out how to get that waistband on. But you kind of hopefully get the idea of what's going to happen here. So now I'm going to go and I'm going to pin again. Otherwise, if you skip this step, trust me, you're not going to have an even amount of stretch across the waistband of your panties or whatever you're doing if you apply this technique. And it's not going to be attractive because one side will be gathered more than the other. And so this part, it's a delicate balance. It honestly is. And some people like to actually mark those points. I don't really think for this particular tutorial is necessary. This is to give you an idea. There are multiple ways to make panties, as there are multiple ways to make anything. This is just some of the techniques I'm choosing to use for these. And so, yeah, we're getting there. This will be the final step. No tags to worry about. Oh gosh, I hate tags in panties. And I mean, they are just gonna be beautiful. You can almost see. So we'll do that, and then that'll be it. Okay, my first pair of panties, I can't believe it. Aren't they pretty? So this is pretty much how they fit from the waist to the thigh. There's no muffin top and they're very supportive. I did have to make this a two-part series because I didn't want to lengthen the video beyond 30 minutes. So if you're interested in watching me make these pretty little pink striped ones, be sure and check out the next video. I did use a different technique for applying the fold over around the leg opening, so you might want to check it out. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next one.